It's Christmas. Merry Christmas. and I wanted to do 31 Christmas wishes. So I wanted to think about each team and just make this quick. So for all 31 teams, let's start with Anaheim. Christmas wish. Well, first off, I'm going to do the injuries. I've got the injuries of every team. Perry, Eves, Fowler, Raquel, and Miller. So good health is one of the wishes for the Ducks, definitely. But they need some scoring and top four defense. They could use one top four defenseman, I think. Depending on how long Fowler's out, I think that could help them a lot. Arizona, Demers, Ranta, Grabner, Hinostroza. Take some scoring out of the lineup, and it's a lineup that needs goals. Lots of goals. I don't care if it comes from defensemen. I don't care if it comes from forwards. I don't care if Antti Ranta decides he's going to skate all the way up the ice and score himself. They need goals. They also, with Ranta out, I think they need another goaltender. I know Hill's been solid, but I think they need another goaltender. But that's nothing that's not kind of going around right now. Boston, Chara, Miller, and DeBrusk. Of course, Chara's almost back. Miller's almost back. They need depth scoring. Boston, it's depth scoring. Desperately needed. Buffalo, Beaulieu, and Palmanville are hurt, and I think they just need added depth. I think when you look at some of their struggles, I think it's a depth thing as much as anything else. Calgary, Valimaki's the key injury for them. Rookie defenseman. And what they need is a resurgence of Mike Smith. If Smith's going to be playing about half the games, they need him to consistently bring his numbers up. Carolina, Jordan Stahl's the one that's hurt. Fleury's on the list too, but he's not consequential so much. They need scoring. We know they need scoring. Tom Dunn's come out and said they need scoring. I think a top six forward is necessary. And I also think a goaltender. Hey, I like the McElhinney story as much as anybody else, but they need a kind of, if not a proven starter at some level, they need an upgrade there. Chicago, Crawford and Kruger are the guys who are hurt, and for me, their Christmas wish would be the health of Crawford and depth on defense. Colorado, Hamenev, Zadorov, and Wilson are the injured guys, and I think their Christmas wish would be less reliance on the first line. You want to have games where that first line gets shut down and you still win 4-1. That's what you want. No injuries for Columbus, and their wish would be Bobrovsky and Panarin stories to come to an end. Whether they get signed or they get traded, they want the stories to come to an end. I thought Dickinson and Hansel are on the list for Dallas. Of course, Hansel, because he has to be there. And depth scoring is the problem for that team, too. So, because this team I cheer for, they need depth scoring. Detroit, Svechnikov, Helm, Mantha, DeKaiser, Green, and Athanasiou. It's a lot. Depth on defense, I think, is what Detroit's looking for. And, I could argue that they need other things, but when we're looking at Christmas wishes, some of these teams realize they're not going to be in the playoffs. So it's just realistic goals here. Edmonton, Sekera, Clefbaum, and Russell, those are all defensemen that are hurt for the Oilers. I think depth scoring would definitely help them a lot, and I think a scoring defenseman. While Clefbaum has shown some upside, I think they really they need a scoring defenseman. On the Florida side of things, Trocheck and Bukestad are the guys who are hurt, and I think consistent goaltending and defense are their issues. Consistent goaltending would go a long way to fixing what's wrong with Florida. L.A., Campbell, Lewis, Hagelin, Clifford, Martinez, Phaneuf, yada, 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 yada. Everybody's hurt. Speed. I think some of the young guys are going to provide that, and forward depth. You look at the fact that they picked up Leipzig and Sherbak on waivers, that shows that they definitely need some help with their forward depth. Dumba's the guy hurt for Minnesota. They want the Dubnyk from October back, and I think they need a sniper. I think for Minnesota to generally make the playoffs and look dangerous, they need a sniper. They need a top six forward, like a Jeff Skinner, like what Jeff Skinner has done for Buffalo. Montreal, Armia's the guy who's hurt. I think they need depth at forward and on defense. I think Montreal has almost everything they need. It's just adding some depth. Nashville, Arvidsson, Subban, Forsberg, and Sissons are on the injured list. Stanley Cup. Their wish is only the Stanley Cup. I don't think anything other than a Stanley Cup will make Nashville happy. New Jersey, Schneider and Johansson are on the injured list. Goaltending. You really need a goaltender and defensive depth. Islanders, Ladd and Hickey are the guys who are hurt. I think they need a top six forward and a top four defenseman. I think that's where the Islanders are at. I think if they added a top 6 forward and top 4 defenseman, and it's a matter of does Lou Lamoriello think this year is a year they can actually win it or not? If he thinks that this team can actually do something in the playoffs, I would think he'll delve into the rental market. But I'm not betting on it, not this year, anyways. But that's where I think the Islanders need somebody. Rangers, Shattenkirk and Fast are hurt, and I think they need a scoring forward. I think their defense is okay. Their goaltending is fine. I think they need a scoring forward. A lot of guys hurt for Ottawa when you look at the list, but I just put down Pajot and Gaborik. Gaborik's been hurt all year. Pajot is a glue guy that they miss. And I think their wish for Christmas, not winning the draft lottery, because it's not their pick. Philly, Morin, Elliott, Stolars, and of course, they need defense and goaltending. You ask a Philly fan, either they'll tell you the goaltending hasn't been any good, or the defense hasn't been any good, or yes. So you ask them, is the goaltending a problem or the defense? Yeah, that about sums it up, yeah. Pittsburgh, Schultz and Alexiak are the guys who were hurt, and I think Pittsburgh is again in the market for a defenseman or two. I don't think they're all that worried about their forwards. I think a defenseman or two would help them. And I think with the return to health for Murray and him looking solid, I think that's all they're going to be looking at. And then they can take aim at another Stanley Cup. St. Louis, Gunnarsson, Pietrangelo, and Fabry are the guys who were hurt. And what are St. Louis fans looking forward to for Christmas? An end to the Jake Allen saga. Either he gets his game back or he gets traded. One or the other. This saga's been going on for what? This is the 3rd season now? You want it over one way or the other. No injuries for San Jose, and what San Jose wants right now, I think, is a Karlsson extension. I know Karlsson has struggled at times in San Jose, but just the idea of having Erik Karlsson and Brent Burns on that blue line for over half a decade coming up, it's a mouth-watering idea if you're a San Jose fan, because when they look good out there, it's pretty fantastic. Tampa, Joseph's the one that's injured right now, and Stanley Cup. Tampa doesn't need anything, really. Just a Stanley Cup. Toronto, Ochaganov, Hyman, and Ennis are the ones who are hurt. I think they want to add a blue line, and then, of course, their Christmas wish is to keep the core guys together. Keep everybody together and add somebody on the blue line. And I think then they're a Stanley Cup favorite, almost, other than the fact that they're in the same division with Tampa, right? Vancouver, Berchi, Sutter, and Stetcher are hurt, of course. There's some debate about whether Berchi's ever going to play again. So I would say Berchi's health is something that Canuck fans and Canuck players are hoping for here. But defense. The defense is really in need of at least, I would think, 2 guys. 2 top 6 defensemen are, I think, what the Canucks need right now. Of course, getting Quinn Hughes likely next fall will help, but I think they need more help than that. For Vegas, injured guys, Howla, Pacioretty, and Miller. You could really tell Miller was missing from that blue line when I was watching them up close the last couple of games. Depth on defense, I think, is what Vegas would wish for Christmas. Washington, Orpik, and Juice are the guys who are hurt. And for Washington, I put back-to-back don't suck. That's the goal of Alex Ovechkin, and I think that's a noble goal. And for Winnipeg, Kopp and Lowry are the guys who are hurt. And I put Cup for Winnipeg. So it's interesting because I have Tampa, Nashville, Winnipeg, and Washington as teams that are saying the Stanley Cup right now is their prime goal. For Toronto, I think it's not a prime goal, but it's definitely secondary. It's right up there. I think if the Leafs go on a nice long run this year, I think Kyle Dubas will be the most excited GM ever. But because he gets very attached to his players, which can cut both ways. But I don't see Toronto as a favorite yet. I think that they're in the conversation, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm especially interested to see what happens with Nashville. Because if Nashville doesn't win a Stanley Cup this year, are you then at a point where, yeah, Renee's probably going to have to get moved? Like, there's some uncomfortable conversations to be had there. But there you go. Let me know in the comments section below what your Christmas wish is for your favorite team and where you think they need the most help. Again, I just went up this just off the top of my head. I did not look up depth charts and all that stuff. Just based on what I've seen of teams this year and of all of the times I've done previews and reviews, those are the things that I came up with. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happen to find this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.